Hey, my name is Sydney. I'm a Facebook ad expert at Vertex Marketing Agency, and today I'm going to show you how you can build a successful ad campaign on Facebook from A to Z. And of course, this does mean Instagram ads as well. And when you have a proper campaign set up on Facebook or Instagram, this can be a game changer for your business. Facebook continues to be the biggest platform and the most reliable, is continuing to see growth year after year from its advertisers and also from its investors. So if you're either new to advertising and you're watching this video, or you're using this video as a refresher, trust me, this is the video that you want to be watching. It is going to be an in-depth explanation, yet also pretty high level. So I'm going to reference a few other videos that we've created where you can dive a little bit deeper on topics that would take a little bit too long to explain in this video, but are really important. So if at any point you don't know what I'm talking about, or you would like to learn a little bit further, check out the description. And if you have any questions or you're not sure what I'm talking about, simply drop a comment in the comment section below and I will absolutely get back to you. So a few things we are going to cover in this video is the things you absolutely need before you set up a Facebook ad campaign or actually press the launch button. That's really, really important. And also I'm going to bring you through all of the settings through the campaign, ad set, and ad level, and I'm going to explain to you what they mean and also my recommendations on which of these settings that you should choose. There's also going to be a ton of timestamps throughout this video so that if you find one section a little bit more relevant, you can just jump right to it. But of course, I would recommend that you watch the whole video. Now, a few things you absolutely do want to make sure that you have set up before you run any of your campaigns is going to be an ad account. And the ad account actually be associated with a business manager and have two-factor authentication turned on to prevent any sort of hacking or any troubles with your ad account. You are going to want to make sure that you have your Facebook pixel set up, both server-side and browser, to make sure you're able to track all of the data. Aggravated event measurement, and make sure you have that set up. A verified domain, also a method of payment on file for your specific ad account. And of course, that you've linked both your Facebook and Instagram profile to your ad account inside of your business manager. Now, once you're actually inside of your ads manager, there's three different tabs at the top here that are going to be three sort of different levels of your actual campaign. So at the campaign level, this is where you're going to be choosing the objective. Like overall, what do you want out of these campaigns? And I'll show you how to do it after. Then below the campaign level, there is the ad set. And this is essentially where you're going to choose the targeting and the audiences that you want inside of your campaign. Then below the ad set, we do have the ads. And this is the front-facing view of what your users are going to see on their Facebook or Instagram when they're scrolling. So the further we go from campaigns to ad sets to ads, the more front-facing view it is. You know, think of campaigns and ad sets as really like the back end settings of your campaign, and then your ads is the front facing view of your campaigns. So let's go ahead and start to create our campaign. Now, this is the new view that Facebook is providing us. So if you have the three different columns with all of the different options, Facebook has essentially simplified these objectives. And I think they've done that just to make it simpler for you to choose which one that you want. And they've made it a lot more obvious on which ones, what they do. So we have awareness, traffic, engagement, leads, app promotion, and sales. Whereas before it used to be awareness, consideration, and conversion. Now, depending on what it is that you're looking for your business, you would choose one of these 6 different objectives. For the most part, my goal when I'm running Facebook ads for our clients is going to be actually getting sales, so we can track the return on ad spend and just to get a more data-driven answer and analytics from these ad campaigns. In this situation, I am going to choose the sales objective. Now, from the beginning here, I actually am going to name this campaign. And the method that I use for naming my campaigns, ad sets, and ads is you want to make it as obvious as possible when you look at the data inside of your ad account that you know exactly what it is. In this example here, I'm going to say that is conversions. Now, depending if you choose campaign budget optimization or ad set budget optimization, which we'll go over after, I would maybe put that in. For the most part, I prefer to use ABO, but this is up to you. And then if it was for a specific promotion of, like, let's say Black Friday or Mother's Day, I would then put that campaign name in here. Note that whenever you are creating a new objective or reason for that campaign, like a different sale or different times of the year where you're promoting different products, you always want to change your campaign. You can duplicate in everything that you have inside of it, but you want fresh data. So when you look inside of your ads manager or Google Analytics or whatever, you know exactly where that data is coming from and why you're seeing it. So always try to keep as clean and precise as possible. So let's just say that's like a sale. I'm not going to name the ad set yet or the ad because I haven't input that yet. So I'm going to press continue for now. And this is where we get into the settings. So I'm going to go through every single one here. Special ad card categories only relates to people who are promoting industries like the credit industry, employment, or housing, or about social issues, elections, or politics. So if you are in that category, you are going to have some limitations on your targeting, but do make sure that you choose it because that could risk getting your ad account restricted if Facebook finds out that you're trying to circumvent those systems. So make sure you abide by their rules. I'll be completely honest, I don't usually change any of the settings within my campaign and ad set. Previously, there used to be a lot of different options for buying type and bid cap and all those things, but let's just keep it simple in 2022. That's really what you need to do. Things have changed a little bit, so I would not touch any of these settings. Telling us what our campaign objective is. If you did want to promote a catalog, you could turn this on. So if you want to promote a catalog from like your Shopify store, then that would be a totally different campaign because that would be a catalog sales campaign. But for this, let's just keep that off. I don't usually turn on A/B testing. This is when you can test one ad against another and then it'll tell you which of the winners, which one is the winner. But I actually like to do this just by pushing out 2 different ads. So I wouldn't change that. And then we have advantage campaign budget. This is a new word for it. This is essentially campaign budget optimization. And that campaign budget optimization would mean that you set the budget at the campaign level and Facebook will distribute your budget across all of the different audiences that you have and all of the different ads that you have based on which they think will perform best. So you can either turn it on at the campaign level or you can turn it on at the ad set level. Then Facebook will distribute that budget across all of the ads within that ad set. I do have a video for CBO versus ABO if you want to go check it out in the description below. But I actually don't turn that on personally. However, you can. Now, within your ad set is where we do choose the audiences and the targeting that we want. So we're not going to touch the ad set name, but we're going to edit it after. It's overviewing what our objective is here, what a conversion means to us. So website, I do want to drive sales and conversions on our website, but you could choose any of these other ones if that relates to your business. You are going to want to choose the event here. You do want to make sure you have your events set up. There's going to be a video below for aggravated event management, which is really important post iOS 14. So go check out that video if you haven't. And this essentially tells Facebook which events are the most important to track. But in this case, I am going to choose purchase, but there are other options. Now, when we choose the conversion objective, your conversion just means taking an action on whatever site that you're promoting. So it could be any of these, but for the most part, we are optimizing for purchase. If you're getting this warning right here and you're new to Facebook, that's no problem. This is a demo ad account, so we have no data from here. So this is why I'm getting the error here. But if you are getting this message, then maybe go view your pixel and set it up properly on your website. But of course, there are videos below that are going to show you how to set up your Facebook pixel on your website. Dynamic creative, I typically don't turn this on. This is where you give Facebook up to 10 different images, up to 10 different variations of text, and you tell Facebook, figure out which ones are going to perform best. I do find that this makes you sort of give Facebook low quality images because if you can give up to 10 or up to 10 videos, then you're not really putting that much time and effort into each and every video or image that you're creating. So I actually typically turn that off. And what I want to test and see what gets good results is single images or single videos so that I can learn from it a little bit better. Here we have your budget. So of course, a budget will be completely dependent on you. I do have another video that explains what your Facebook ad budget should be, and I give you a calculator, a method of calculating, and how it would differ depending on your industry. So go check out that video. I would say if you're starting out, nowhere below $15 to $20 per day for a conversion event if you're looking to get sales. But they say between 5 to 12% of your overall revenue should be for your marketing budget. So just keep that in mind. There's an option here for a lifetime budget, which they get into a little bit more like settings. So I just keep it a daily budget. It does say here you'll spend up to $25 on some days and less on others, but on average $20 per day. So if you see your budget going up and down, that's totally fine. Facebook is just figuring out what days work best for you to get the most profitable results. You can set a start date and an end date if you have a specific sale. I typically just let that run and let the algorithm sort of run its course without interfering. And you do have other options here, but this is only for a lifetime budget where you can select what time of the day you want to run your ads at. And I don't like using this because I prefer Facebook to tell me which is the best option. You can't outsmart the algorithm. And then this is the fun part. This is really what the ad set means. We have our audiences here, and here's where you can build out the audiences that you want to target with your ads. I'll show you the settings first, and then I'll show you what I recommend. So we have custom audiences. Now this is where you can choose from people who have purchased on your website, people that you've uploaded a customer list from, people who have engaged with your Facebook page, purchases in the last 45 days, 180 days. And you can create these custom audiences by going right here, choosing which of the sources you want to pull from, and then creating it that way. We also have the different locations that you want to target. So depending on the country or the state or the province or the territory that you're in, you can choose it there. You can choose the age range, which is really important, especially if you promote products that are like 18, 19, 21 plus. You can choose it there. You can choose your genders if you only sell to females or only sell to males. And then you have your detailed targeting, which is the classic interests and behaviors where you can put in, I don't know, soccer. If this is an interest you're looking to target, okay? Choose a bunch of different interests and behaviors that Facebook knows your users have, and you can target them with. Of course, we have languages. Now, my recommendation and what we've seen going into 2022 is that the platform has changed a lot. Previously, the more interest and the more detailed your targeting was, the better your results would be, which makes sense. Back in the days when data was just being thrown out to everyone and the platform knew so much. But post iOS 14, as we know, Apple is not sharing data with Facebook, and cross-site tracking is disabled on a lot of people's iPhone or Apple devices. And so Facebook lacks a lot of the data that it used to have. Nonetheless, it is still the most profitable and reliable platform that you can be advertising on. But here is how the platform has changed. What we do with our clients is we leave all of this targeting mostly completely broad. And that means choosing the location that you want to advertise in, leaving the age completely open, even if it's typically 25 to 35-year-olds that buy your product, leaving it completely open, leaving the genders open. In some specific cases, you might want to only target females or males, but keeping that completely open. And what really goes into targeting your ads is the type of creative that you use. And these days, you want to be creating content that appeals to the masses. Think of it like a billboard on the street or, in a magazine. Is you want to make something that is appealing for everyone, but still your ideal customer will know exactly what you're talking about. And I know this is a totally different mindset than what you might have thought in the past or what your assumptions of what the platform were, but this is actually one of the best audiences that we're running for our clients at the moment. There are some very specific cases where we would actually create a lookalike audience, where this is essentially pulling from a list of either your email list or your customers and a lookalike. So finding people that look just like the people who have maybe already bought from you. But this works for a very select number of customers that we have. And for the majority at the moment in 2022, completely broad is what's working best. So that's my recommendation of what you should try out first. And Facebook uses its algorithm to figure out what each and every user likes and put your content in front of that person. Now, as we get a little bit further down here, we do have the placements. This is Advantage Plus placements, and that would be automatic placements. Facebook will just put it in every position based on what they think will perform best. Even though majority of your conversions will come from newsfeed, as we know, it takes multiple touch points for someone to convert in the end. So if they see it on Marketplace, they see it in the right column, those are extra touch points. So by limiting any placements, like to just Facebook's newsfeed, you might be losing out on some extra touch points that might help with your conversion. So I leave that completely open and I choose the recommended one. Now there are some other options down here of optimization and delivery. I actually don't touch these buttons over here. You do have a cost per result goal where you can set that at, I know I want to get a lead or a conversion for $15 and put that there. But what I do find is that limits Facebook's algorithm. So I would be okay personally with getting a cost per result or cost per purchase at $30 if my return on ad spend is higher than a cost per purchase at $15. So it might limit the people who will have a higher purchase conversion value, which means like they're spending more on your actual website rather than just buying that one product. Because typically what we'll see is people won't just buy one product. They'll buy this one and another one and another one to make it worth buying on your website. Once we've set up the audiences, here is where I would want to make sure I add the ad set name right away, and make sure you're adding these names before you launch your campaign, because later on we are going to add UTMs, which I'll explain what that is later, but that is the name that's going to be pulled from Facebook to tell Google Analytics where that data is coming from. So I want to make sure I do this right away. And like I said, you want to see these names here and know exactly what this ad set is about. So I'll go broad. In this case, it said Canada. And I also want to make sure I'm doing 18 plus. On the side here, you are going to see the estimated daily results. I wouldn't fully trust these because it can be totally above that or below that. On average, you should make sure your audiences are at least 4 million people. And that way, Facebook can choose from all of these people to show your ad to. Like I said, these days, the broader your audience, it's almost like the better that it performs. But at the bare minimum, like 3 to 4 million people in your audience would be a good place to start. Now here's where we get to the actual juicy part and the front-facing view of what people will see when they look at your ad. When people are scrolling on Instagram or scrolling on Facebook, this is what they're going to see. So we do make sure that you have your Facebook page and your Instagram account connected. You can do that via Business Manager and obviously choose them right here. And then we get to the ad setup. So you have a few options here. You can use an existing post, and this would be good for a situation where you have a really good performing ad on your Facebook or Instagram page. It has so many positive reviews or good comments, and you want to see if that performs well with your Facebook ads. I wouldn't typically recommend that because there's a few options that you don't get when you create this. So I'm typically creating an ad from scratch and then testing that out. Now in the creative source, we have manual upload, which is what I'm going to be choosing for this demo. But you also have the option here to choose catalog, and that would pull the information and the products from your website and promote them based on what a viewer is most likely to convert with. It's essentially like a carousel with like sliding images, but it's all pulled from your website. Only caveat to that is that if you have just like very, very basic images, they may not convert well. But this is a test that I would recommend that you try out and see if it performs well. But in this situation, what I would recommend most people start with is just actually creating an ad for themselves with the manual upload. We do have the option in the format to choose single image or video, a carousel where you're going to input up to 10 different images or videos to promote. And each one of those carousel cards are going to need a headline and a link for your users to visit. And then the final option here is a collection. I don't often use these, and I really don't see many advertisers using collections, but it's essentially like an on Facebook landing page experience where you can input like multiple images and videos. Now, one thing that I am typically doing here is I'm going to turn this on. And Advantage Creative, essentially, if you give it an image with multiple text options, you see if you can add options for your primary text and your headlines here, Facebook is going to choose one of the multiple headlines and primary text that you give it and show that variation to whatever user they think is going to convert most with. So I actually do typically turn that on, and I'll show you where I'm adding some other options here. And then you go ahead, you can add an image or a video. So I've just entered like a random image that I had in the photo library here. And as you can see, you get this preview on the right hand side. This is really important to make sure that your creative looks good in all placements. You'll see here that I uploaded a 4x5 or a 1200 by 1500. I do have a full-on video explaining Facebook ad image size and best practices, so go check that out if you're using just a regular plain image. But for both images and videos, typically what the size that I'm using is 4x5 or 1200 by 1500, and that will allow most placements to look pretty good, especially the newsfeed on Facebook and Instagram, and even on stories. It does have some space on the top and bottom, but Facebook will fill in the rest. And if you don't have the budget, or if you don't have the bandwidth to create different variations for each and every position, this is a great size for you to use. Now, if you did want to customize each and every placement for your creative to make sure that it looks perfectly good and a native experience on mobile, desktop, newsfeed, stories, and everything like that, you do have the option to edit the entire group. Now, what's great about the right-hand side here is you're going to get a preview of what your ad looks like. So right now there's no text above, there's no text in the headlines, but as soon as I add a primary text, which is essentially a caption. So if you want to write, I'm just going to put example copy here. And if you see the word copy used in any other videos, that means the copy that we're using as like the text for your Facebook ads. That's what copy means. Now, what I do like to do is add different options for the primary text. I usually only add 2 or 3. And this just makes sure that whatever variation I'm giving that user, they have 3 different options to choose from, or Facebook will choose from 3 different options. So what I like to usually try is like a short one, example copy that would be short. And then I would also do one that might be long, so it's a little bit longer form. You might get the option, or you might get the error that says like this text is longer than this many words or characters. That's fine. I still like to test it out and see, does this ad perform well? And then a third one might just be an actual review. So what I love doing is just going into the Shopify store or comments that people are leaving and putting a full-on review right here, an actual 5-star review, and using that as my plain copy. So here's a few different options that you guys can use: a short form, long form, and an actual review that people are leaving on your product. Now for headlines, this is what's gonna appear right over here, the bolded text. You want to make sure that this is keeping very short and to the point. Headline, that's where it would appear right there. I think that the first letter in every word should be capitalized in your headline. And then the description is optional. In some places, this will show, in others it won't. But a description is basically a description of what the link is going to. So here, if like you're running a sale or if you're promoting a product, it's just like an additional piece of text with the intention that like not everyone's going to see it, but you can add it just there. So like if you had a BOGO sale, I'd maybe just put the BOGO and like BOGO 50% off just as an additional, but all of that information should either be in your creative or in your actual copy here. So depending on what you're optimizing for, you want to make sure that your call to action makes sense. Some of the most popular ones that we're using is learn more or the shop now button. If you're optimizing for leads, or if you're optimizing for people to go purchase a event ticket, then you could use sign up, or you could use buy tickets, or book now if it's like for a consultation. But make sure that you are using the call to action here. Now, of course, your ad needs a destination to go to. So input your URL. And this is a really important part that a lot of marketers are missing out on, and that is building a URL parameter. So I would highly suggest that you set up Google Analytics on your website on both server and browser to make sure that tracking both of them. And I would recommend that it is Google Analytics 4 because Universal Analytics is going away. We do have a video for that, so check the description below. And you want to make sure that you're putting it in here for sure. do not miss this part, because in the future, whether you're working with an agency or you're just leveling up your skills with Facebook ads, you want to make sure that you have these URL parameters and that you're not only looking in your Facebook ads manager for data, but you're also looking on another platform like Google Analytics to make sure that you are making the best decision for your ads. So here's typically what we're doing here. The source here, and you can see all of these different explanations here. The source of the traffic is going to be Facebook. And I like to use the underscore because that's what you need in an actual URL. Ad. The medium, I actually use this as the ad set. So ad set name. Then we have campaign name, which is pretty simple. And then the campaign content, which should be ad name. And these mean that it's going to pull dynamically from the actual information in your ads manager. So if you have broad Canada 18 plus, rather than putting those actual words in here, copy and paste and needing to go back, it's just gonna pull it automatically and create that URL for you. And then when you duplicate this ad, or if you use this again or use that URL, it's going to update it automatically, which is really nice and it simplifies your life. But you're always pulling that information from Facebook to send to Google Analytics to track that data. And you'll see that as soon as you press apply, it adds these little things in here. Now make sure that you are not removing any of this because it is going to mess up your URL. Now I just will mention something real quick. If you sometimes duplicate an ad and your URLs change, or I'm not sure exactly why this happens, but sometimes the URL parameters get put in right here. So I would always just select it all and remove them if there is any parameters down here. I never use them and it kind of messes up your Google Analytics data. So if you're duplicating an ad ever like this and you press duplicate, make sure that this is not adding in another URL parameter. And then down here, there's tracking. You do want to make sure that you are choosing the right domain and the right pixel. So you'll see some different options if this is the first time creating a campaign. And of course, if you haven't set up your Facebook pixel yet, go check out the video. Obviously, it's really, really important to be able to track any sort of conversions that are happening on your website. And then finally, I'm always making sure that this looks good on all positions and just going through here and saying, okay, great, and just seeing that they look good. Now, if you're wondering what kind of creative that you should be using for your Facebook ads, here I've inputted just a regular image, but I would highly recommend investing either in a video editor who is on your team or using an app like Billow for you to get really good user-generated content where someone's actually taking a video of them using the product and giving their honest review is going to perform really, really well. An app like Billow.app is amazing. You can go in there and tell them exactly what you're looking for. You can find exactly the type of person that you want to work with. You can tell them what you want to say. So if this is your first time creating a Facebook ads and you want to start off on the right foot, check out Billow. I have a link in my description below. Start with that. You are obviously going to have to pay money for it, but I promise doing a few videos with Billow is going to be so worth it for your brand and for your results on Facebook. If you are not getting results on Facebook ads, there's a few things that you want to look at is the quality of your creative. And you can go and compare your results with other competitors that you have currently in your industry by going to Facebook ads library, as well as TikTok ads library to see what kind of ads everyone else is creating. And do yours line up with the quality that everyone's seeing on their newsfeed anyways? So if you're not getting results, check out your actual ad creative, check out the type of copy that you're using, because these are actually the front facing view of what people are going to see. So if you're not getting results, it's most likely because of that. Secondly, check out your checkout process. Is it complicated? Is it glitchy? Is it working? And then finally, obviously, make sure that all of your tracking is set up by following all of the videos that I have in the description below. Now, anytime you exit out of here, there's probably going to be a box that appears and says, are you sure you want to exit? Facebook always automatically saves the changes that you're making within your ad account. So don't worry about pressing that edit button. And if ever you want to go back and edit it, you just press it right here. And once you're ready to actually publish your changes, you've set up all the things that you need to create a successful campaign, go down here and press that publish button. Now, I would recommend, because of delayed reporting due to iOS 14 and just, data that comes in, whenever you're making changes to your ad account, make sure you're waiting at least 3 days before making that decision. We've actually had it where we turned off the campaign because we thought it's not performing well, and 3 or 4 days later, we see some conversions and a really good cost per result and a good purchase conversion value. So just make sure that you are allowing enough time for Facebook to pull in that data to make that decision. And then finally, some ways that I am analyzing this data. Obviously, you need to go check out how your results are doing. Again, I would highly recommend that you are not only basing your results on Ads Manager. A lot of the times, even when you have server-side tracking set up, which is just like a more profound way of tracking the data, a lot of the results that we're seeing here is not actually what is happening with ads. So use something like Google Analytics, or there's other platforms that you can use that track your data, such as Triple Whale or Hyros, which are a lot more expensive. But over here, we can have different columns depending on what it is that you're looking at. And right over here, we have the results, reach, impressions. Cost per result is the most important thing that I'm looking at, as well as website purchases. And then always make sure you're adding return on ad spend. Again, this is not going to be 100% accurate. So if anyone says tracked data, that's what they mean, but I'm putting in ROAS. You're going down here and you're doing the purchase ROAS, the total. That's going to be really important in tracking your results. But of course, keep in mind that is tracked. I'm always going to say that just the data that you see in here is not 100% accurate. Keep that in mind. Now, that's pretty much it for this video, guys. Now, we do offer a full done for you service, and this includes creating the ad creative and the copy and managing your account and looking at your landing page and analyzing your results and setting up your tracking. So if you're spending at least $5,000 per month, go in the description and fill out the form to work with our agency, and I'll get back to you about booking a strategy session right away. We also do offer coaching and consulting, so check that out, and I'd be happy to hop on a call with you. That's it for this video, guys. I hope you learned a lot. If you did, give it a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, because we always are talking about the best practices and strategies and tracking tactics that you can have for your Facebook ads. That's it for today, and I will see you in the next video.